Well, hello everybody. How are you? Wednesday. Still in the month of March. So, what's new and exciting? Well, I don't know whether it's new or that exciting. It's pretty typical of the Republican Party. In this case, it's we shall refer to it as the mega party, or because they're the ones that are doing most of the yelling and screaming about this. What they want is a whitewash of the Iranian war, so that only news that gets printed is news that reflects positively on the Trump administration, which is kind of hard to do considering they fucked up the whole situation. They went in without a plan. They went in without the logistics support that they needed. Israel's in there for their own reasons, and they don't care. They don't give a shit one way or the other about us. And sooner or later, we're going to have to understand that. All right? And there's a lot of anti-Jewish sympathy. You ever had one of those days? There's a lot of anti-Jewish stuff being said coming out of from Republicans' mouths as well as Democratic mouths, and that it's getting to the point because they're so warlike. I don't understand how they can commit genocide when they are more than anybody else knows exactly how that works out. You know, they suffered 20 million dead in World War II in concentration camps. That was genocide. You know, it's sort of, that's just, it just doesn't make any sense. And then you got the U.S. when you're talking about imprisoning people for no reason just because of the color of their skin or something. That's what we're doing. We don't seem to understand anything anymore. We're just, the principles that this country was founded on aren't there anymore. I don't know where Trump came from. I really don't care. I know his father's a convicted criminal. He's a convicted criminal. I expect soon his sons will, I don't know about Ivanka. She's very quiet right now, and I don't know why she's doing that. I can't understand for the life of me because she's probably the most popular Trump in the family, and why she's sitting around being quiet, I don't know. But anyhow, there's dirt and there's dirt. The dirt of this Iranian war can't be whitewashed. You'd have to put a blackout on international news programs and everything like that, because like me, people go to the internet and they find out these stories. Yes, granted, some of them you have to take with a grain of salt because they might be artificially enhanced, but basically, no. This is just Trump's made a series of mistakes, and he's getting caught at it. And and I don't know whether it's Trump. I don't think Trump cares if he's caught at it. I think this is more the Republican Party, because it's what's going to affect their reelection if there are elections. But as I've said in the past, if there are no elections, you take away the ability of people to institute change over a government they don't like, and they're going to take the government away from you. And that's, trust me, there's over 300 million people in this country, and they will take the government away from you. We might not get anything better, but it won't be you guys. So they should think about that a little bit. Okay, moving right along. Trump is Europe is not going around handing over their military to Trump so that Trump can use them to gain access to oil from the Straits of Hormuz. It's just not happening. He thinks it's they're duty to do this. After he refused their help and said, we're going to go it alone, now he's begging NATO for help over there. And he's fighting with the UK. So that that King Charles is saying he's already canceled it based upon I don't know exactly what, but he already canceled his state visit. He may be canceling some other things too, but he doesn't have the right to do that, but he can suggest it to Parliament. But it's Trump's art of the deal is always been basically what the mafia does. He comes in and offers you a sweetheart deal to gain control of a company. Once he gains control of that company, he forces you out, and then he goes around and sells off the assets and then bankrupts the country. And everybody loses but him and a couple of his good friends. So, that's the art of the deal. That's nothing new. He just made a lot of money writing a book about it, where some people that thought they were investors and whatnot went along and read it. Doesn't work the way he said it did. And we're looking at it now where he doesn't know the art of the deal. He's being outfoxed by Iran and Russia and China and Little Kim, Trump wants China to help get the oil economy back up, and China's saying, screw you. Trump is sitting around calling wind energy and solar energy a waste of time, yet China is producing more and more and more of it and saving money, Probably building weapons with the money they saved, But that's Donald. Stupid as possibly be, Making mistakes. All right, what do I have next? Cuba's president, just like the leaders in Iran, is promising resistance to Trump takeover of their country. Now, you got to remember that I think the guy's name was Batista. I'm not sure because I didn't remember it yesterday. And that name keeps sticking in the back of my head. Who was the president? The movie The Godfathers was true. What happened there is true. He was in bed with the mafia. It was a mafia island. And because they weren't paying anybody, that's what if you didn't work for a casino, you weren't making any money. And then if you worked for them, they basically owned you. So the mafia was stupid, and he was even dumber. The Godfather shows the Godfather understands that situation, whereas that it's going to happen, the revolution's going to happen. And the rest of the guys didn't really understand that. The politicians were making beaucoup dollars off of that place, And it's where they went for parties. It was before the Epstein Island, Epstein came along, saw willingly the politicians were to be corrupt and to party hardy on in their private little islands and stuff like that in Cuba. So he built Epstein Island and made billions of dollars off of these creeps and had a lot of influence on what was going on in the world. Till somebody got, religion or something. I don't know what it was, that cracked that situation wide open. But what can I say, ladies and gentlemen? It was a bad situation, and it's gotten a little bit worse, because Castro isn't there, and he doesn't have his partners that he had originally. And I don't know what's going on with China. China was a big investor. Russia was a big investor there. But when they couldn't build their missiles there, I don't think they really wanted the country. It's too far away from them, too close to us. So that's promising resistance. Well, I'm not sure how much he'll put up, but yeah, it's not going to be a walk in the park like it showed in the movies when they went into Panama, you know. It's not going to be the same. Oh, here's something that should make Trump really, really, really happy. Venezuela beat the United States in baseball. You know, this is the United States game, invented in the United States and everything like that. It's like basketball, you know. Politicians go fucking batshit crazy when this happens. But Venezuela beat the United States to become the baseball World Classic champions. And it was really a world class championship this year because the pros actually took interest in it. And they got beat. Just goes to and that's a country that's got nothing basically. But it's like Cuba, you know. Cuba didn't have anything until they had that fighter, whatever his name was, you know, and they won the Olympic boxing all the time because Castro was a big boxing fan, you know. So stupidity is what this is, you know. Baseball is just something that people, when you take in a poor country, but they have places for you to play baseball, and you know they were already Venezuelans in the majors, and kids want to see that and they want to play baseball, so it helps to give them something to do when they're not working, you know. Maybe they don't have the best equipment in it, but it did Babe Ruth when he started playing in an orphanage, you know. Babe Ruth was an out-of-shape ball player, but he had the greatest reflex, some of the greatest hand-eye coordination of anybody in the history of baseball. So did Lou Gehrig, some of the others. That's what makes a great baseball player, is hand-eye coordination. And you don't have to put them in a position where they need to really be fielders. That's a different thing, you know. But great fielders don't usually turn out to be average or slightly above average hitters. But a good fielder, a decent fielder, will usually come out as a better than average hitter, because that's how he gets on the team. If they can't get on the team as a great fielder, they get on the team as a better average hitter. You know? Hustle is all it's about. You know, yeah. The only guy, that great fielder I knew that was an absolute terror at the plate was Pete Rose. He was really, really, really great fielder, and turned around and you know, had that hitting streak that I don't think anybody's ever beaten that hitting streak, and has the most hits in baseball as far as I know. I don't follow the records. See, that was the one thing I didn't like about baseball. Statistics were more important than the games themselves, you know. I used to listen to Mel Allen and all these other announcers talking about statistics. You know, the batter's up there and they're giving you his history against left-handers, or then they give him his history against this particular pitcher. You know, what his record is, you know, how many times he struck out. It's got nothing to do with nothing, you know. It's not what the game is about. That's about managers playing the odds, but it's not what the game is about. The game is about skill and luck combined. You know, you can have a pitcher that's absolutely unbelievably great that day. Nothing you could do about it, you know. Not even Ted Williams could hit him. But that's, you know, stuff like that happens. That's just the way it is. But that's, you know, I'm sure they'll do something about it, because when the NBA lost the game, they took the game away from the college kids and from the amateurs and turned it over to the pros, because they got upset because they lost the basketball game. The only reason that happens is the bookies lost a ton of money. When that happens, then you see changes. When somebody loses a ton of money, somebody of power loses a ton of money, then you'll see the changes, you know. Okay, that's it. Head over to the to your live channel. I'll be there in a few minutes, about 15 minutes, I guess. It takes that long for everything to load up on this one and me to get it out there. All right. So in the meantime, hit that subscribe button. Say, hey, look at that dumb fat shit out there talking bullshit. Hey, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to say to you that, that Trump is an asshole and that he's done this wrong or that wrong, or that this guy's done that wrong or that guy's done that wrong. Because I got nothing to lose, folks. I'm bored as shit, so if they throw me in jail, it's not going to change my personality, anything like that. So everybody have a good day. Go do something constructive with your life, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.